Richard, you want to say anything new and groovy or exciting or?
Not really, other than I'm super excited. I can't. It's crazy that it's already what almost the end of April. Like I'm excited to see what you guys have done. I had a great time visiting some of those schools that were already doing things. So this should be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. So the game plan is that you guys can choose who wants to go first. The idea is we'll let you screen share, and you're just going to talk us through what you did. Tell us what your project is and what your rationale, how you're going to do the lesson, just kind of just casual. And this is taping, so what I was going to do is I'm going to edit it and put it with your lesson. So we're going to post all the lessons and a little walkthrough when we're done with it. So we have a website or a web page that has, or in our community center probably, it'll have all the different lessons with the little spiel on there. Is that good?
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Can I? I just want to make one suggestion though. With what do we have? 6 people, 7 people on board. Make sure that you mute your mic if you're not speaking, just so we don't get the feedback. And this way, it'll help the recording.
Sounds
yes, good. And I'll mute mine for sure. Okay, so who wants to go first?
I will. I don't mind.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You said you?
Yeah, I'll give it a try and see what happens. Okay. And so hopefully you see my Scratch project there. Is that what you see? Yes. Okay. And so
yes.
My project, what I kind of did was we have a unit next year that we start the year with chemistry, and then after chemistry we move into some ideas about biodiversity and things. And so I kind of created a bridge type of lesson here where it ties the idea of chemistry and then biodiversity together. And what the idea would be that you could you could take the kids to a computer lab, and this is very self-driven for the kids. It runs through the ideas on its own, and all they have to do is push the flag, and it basically will talk them through it. It's got some games in it. It's got some different levels to it and things. And so I'll just kind of run through it. And so obviously it asks you what your name is, and so it can kind of personalize it a little bit, and it talks with you. It just so you're reading along with it, and so it talks about that you're going to go to these different worlds in an effort to find out a little bit about what happens. And so we've got consumer and producer land, and the doorways lead to each of them. And so you just go over to one of the two, and so you go, and so this one over here is going to take you to producer land. And so when you get there, it just pops to this new one and talks a little bit about what happens in producer land. And so and it just kind of runs on its own, and so the kids will read it. And so the first part here in producer land, it's going to talk to the kids about the idea of photosynthesis, and this is tying that idea of chemistry together, because it starts to show some chemical formulas here for carbon dioxide and water, and then the sugar that gets created. The kids they could take notes as they're doing this, and so it just kind of runs through it. And I figure that I could even go back and readjust the timing to make it for students that are a little lower, make it so it's running a little bit slower if they needed it, or they could run it a little bit faster if they needed to. Okay, but so it does this for a little bit, and then showing and here come the chemical formulas and things, and then it's a pretty confusing process. And so I even have the scripts or the sprites saying that, hey, this is a little bit confusing. And so then that leads us to our first game, where they get to go and actually run through collecting the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, or the carbon dioxide and the water, in an effort to then make the sugar so that they can grow. And in this game here, they're going to get to actually do that. And so the lettuce will go around and collect these things, and you'll be able to watch the lettuce grow as it collects those things, and then it'll have a little review quiz that it works through. And so this is our first game, and it shows the idea of how much they've collected and things. And so the clouds represent carbon dioxide, and so they collect the carbon dioxide, and as you collect water, it creates the oxygen that we have. And so as they continue to collect this so that they can see that idea, and they do this to collect 3 sugars, to make 3 sugars, and each time they end up making one of the sugars, they will end up being able to grow even larger. And so unfortunately, we can't really jump ahead on things, and so we'll just run through it real quick here. Okay, and so there's the first sugar, and so he says that the sugar tastes good, and he grew bigger in things, and then he continues to do this, and it's running a little bit slow. Normally everything's falling a little bit faster. Maybe it's because we got so many things linked together, but it'll go, and we see that oxygen being created from the water as the hydrogen's pulled off and things. And then we are able to get our 3 sugars made. Then it actually is built in where it gets to make have some review questions to check the kids that they were actually picking up the information that they needed. And so
that's really cute.
And so we're just about at the point for our review. And then what will happen is that after they review the stuff, if they've been able to get the things right, then it'll eventually bounce them back into producer land, and they will. And so there's our last one. And so it reminds them the idea that the sugar is going to let them grow and things. And then now their review. So hopefully they saw that what were some of the things that they needed to make the sugar. So they can either do it as a chemical formula, or they could actually type out the word. So if they type water, okay, water definitely is one of the things. They tried carbon dioxide, and it says that that's right. And then if they get it wrong, so let's say they wrote that you also need oxygen, it'll say, nope, try again, and then you go through it all again. So they have the chance that if they do make mistakes, it's going to give them it's going to prompt them to go back and try something else. And then our last one is light. Yep. And so that I typed faster than it was able to go, and so we'll give this another try here. Okay, so light, water, and then carbon dioxide. Okay, and so that's right, and so then it just restates those ideas, and then it bounces you back to producer land, and we just have a little wrap up here where they just kind of talk to each other about the ideas. And now that you're done with producer land, then you bounce back to the start screen, and from the start screen now it asks you, it lets you, if you've been to both worlds, then you go review the whole thing. If you've only been to one, you go ahead and you go to you go back to you'd be able to move on to consumer land. And so now, if do you guys want me to show you the other side, or you just want me to, or what do you think?
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Do you want to see what it looks like on the other world, or do you to see what that looks like also?
What do you think, Richard?
Yeah, I think it would be cool at least to just see what it's going to be.
Okay, all right, I can do that. So how many worlds have we visited? We've only visited the one. Okay, so we type in the one, and so we type in 1, and so it says, okay, go check out the other world, and then you head over to the other world, and and so now we're gonna bounce to consumer land. So and so now he's, instead of being in a field, he's in a forest where we still have obviously producers there, but now we've got more consumers and things, and so we've got our wolf that hops into the screen, and they'll have a bit of a conversation here about what it's like there. And so they talk now, instead of talking about the idea of photosynthesis, now they're talking about the interactions of producers, or of consumers, where they have to do the eating so that they can survive. And so they talk about that there's different types of consumers, like the bunny who eats the plants and things, or our wolf that will eat the bunny. And so it lets them see that idea that it connects with the producers from before, but then now there's different levels that go from there. And so once again brings in that chemical formula a little bit, so that we can so that they can hopefully reconnect to that. Okay, and it reinforces that idea that as you eat that, it's going to let you grow and live and things. And so, that was talking about the bunny and things. And so now, then he's asking about, hey, what about things like you that are bigger, higher level consumers? And the wolf gives a little scare here that he eats bunnies, and our bunny responds the way you would if you were a little bit scared. You run away a little bit and things. And my poor sense of humor here shows up with a few little attempting to be witty, but whether the kids will think it's funny or not, who knows?
I'm amused.
Well, there we go. And so then up at the wishing well, like it says here, this will take you to the consumer land game. And so you hop over to the wishing well, and once you get up to the wishing well, it'll trigger our jump to our last world here, our last game. And so now this time the bunny needs to be able to collect the food and the water so he can grow. But we've got a wolf that's bouncing around, that's just sliding around, that you need to avoid. Now, I didn't make it so that the wolf won't eat you, but you don't know that, and so you need to try to avoid it anyways. And what happens here is that if you can collect enough of the food, you collect the food and the water, you'll grow. But if the food gets by, then then what happens is you have a negative score on that. And if you don't catch enough, you shrink. And so as I caught 5 foods there, so I got bigger. And now if I catch 5 waters, it'll say how refreshing the water is and things. But then if I skip and let the water slide by, and I don't I try to let the water escape, so the plants, it keeps making me bigger and things like that. But if I let the water escape, if you don't catch enough waters, so you let the water slide by, and if you don't have enough, then we'll see that it will make you shrink, which represents the idea that you are going to that you're gonna starve and start to get smaller. And so you say, I'm so thirsty, and you shrink. And so the trigger that will kick you back to the end of the game, to the next end, is if you catch enough food. So once you have 20 plants that you've eaten, it stops the game and things. And so it'll auto stop there. But hopefully you see the kids will see the idea there that, hey, if you're not getting enough food, you're going to die and things. And we used shrinking instead of dying. But they talk about that in here as they're following enough, that if they got enough of the water and food, that they ended up growing. But if they didn't, then they shrunk. But then, as the wolf, the realist, says, well, it's like real life, but you don't shrink, you instead would die. Okay, and then also he talks about that the wolf, while he was being nice there and just chasing you, he would instead eat you. And so it just reinforces, hopefully, those ideas. And then, and so they just have a little last banter here about those things, about that it's just a game and things. And then since now you're done with producer or consumer land, you bounce back to the start screen.
Very cool.
And then at the start screen, once again, it asks you if how many you've visited. And since now we've been to both of them, we go off and we do just a little review just to reinforce everything. So you jump to your classroom, and you just go through the two main ideas. First, you look at the ideas again of photosynthesis, and now this is once again looking at that chemical formula. So up pops the chemical formula, and JB Bunny explains once again what you saw happening there and what things you needed, and then what gets created and why you need that. And then after that, it will, and then we review the same ideas, but now about our producers and our consumers and our food chain idea. And so that'll finish up our ideas there about the plants and growing and with sugar and photosynthesis. And then it jumps into our ideas about a food chain, looking at those same ideas with our producers going into a consumer, which then goes into a higher consumer.
That was really great.
That was awesome.
All right, well, good. That was the hope. I spent a lot of time on it. Like I said when I posted some different things, I really jumped into it and really enjoyed the process a lot more than I anticipated. And it was one of those things that it just kind of kept building and building and building. And I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old at home, and they liked looking at it, and even though they couldn't read what was going on, they thought it was a lot of fun, and they wanted to play the games and stuff. And so it's been a really neat adventure getting to it.
Good job, Richard.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. This is so much fun. Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
It's addicting, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, Richard, on the Google form that I sent you, you saw that there's also some follow-up questions. So, like, after they do it, then they would be able to kind of review those different ideas, and then we'd have a class discussion just to kind of continue, and then move into our other ideas about biodiversity.
Yeah, that's a great way to keep that segue going through the classroom.
So, who's next?
I'll go. Is that okay?
Ooh, Captain America.
Yeah, you gotta like the background. This is my geek room.
Hey, that's a cool geek room.
All right.
Wish mine were that.
Do you mind if I go?
No, go ahead.
All right. So for mine, while I'm pulling up the sharing here, my plan is to try to actually implement this year. This is one of the last things that we do, one of the last units we do in 6th grade math is data and statistics. And one of the things that we do, one of the very last lessons, is a box or a box and whisker plot. And so every year when we do this, we always give them a data project for them to work on, where they collect data, they display their data, organize their data, and so forth. And so with this, I thought, let's go ahead and have them draw a box and whisker plot on using the code. One of the things that I was kind of bouncing back and forth was, did I want them to actually write the code to draw the box plot, or actually give them the code themselves and let them just manipulate it? And it ended up being that I decided to create 2 different codes, actually. One is my code, where they can see how I represented the data, and then another one, which I'll share here in a moment, where they can manipulate the code. It's a base version, in a sense, where they can just manipulate it to represent the box and whisker. And of course, keeping with my usual theme, I had to do Star Wars. So I got the idea. I'm crazy. I don't know what I think. But I had Luke Skywalker here at the end of the movie. He's sitting on the island, and he's sitting here thinking, what can he do? He's been sitting on this island all by himself. So let's see if I can hit play here. Hang on 1 second. There we go. So he says he's been on this island for a long time, and he's collected a lot of data. So he's seen, and of course, a whole bunch of different characters and monsters and so forth that he's seen over the years while he's been sitting on this island. So he says he needs to organize this data, and we figure why not put it into a box plot. So the program runs through and reminds them how to draw a box plot again. So he goes up and draws his number line, and then it reminds them each of the steps. So this is something that I would show the students after we have taught the lesson as a review, before I give them the assignment to actually create their own. It's going through the steps of how to create it with him as the character, drawing the number line, drawing the minimum, the maximum, and now the median, and then he's realizing that he needs to find the quartiles, which are the medians between the lower and the upper half of the data. Pardon me. And then it's going to tell him, okay, he needs to remember that he needs to put a box around those quartiles. So again, it's going through the whole steps of the process for them, so they can see what's happening. What I then decided to do, well, hang on, we got to, of course, get the ending here, because this is the end of the movie. And, of course, Ray shows up. And I figured I'd throw in a joke there for the kids. So that's for me to review with the students of exactly how the process works. But then what I ended up doing, and I'm pulling it up here, is I took the same version and I made a student copy where I gave them Scratch the Cat. And this time Scratch the Cat will now draw the same exact box. But in the code, I put notes, because when I assign this, they will be each of the students will be given a different set of data that will be in that range from 50 to 60. And I don't know if you guys can see the code here, hopefully. In the code, I have notations of this is where the minimum data is being drawn. This is where the maximum is being drawn. And using the x-coordinates, I want them to just manipulate it to which data their value is. So they will have already done all the calculations by hand, and then on the code, they're just going to go in and manipulate it a little bit to redraw the box. And then I have directions in here for them to actually go in and, pardon me, and go in and actually add some thought bubbles or character sayings where they can describe, again, restate how to draw a box and whisker plot with their data, and how they were able to calculate that data. And they can, if they want to, they can create their own new sprite and just transfer everything over, or they can just go ahead and manipulate Scratch the Cat and have him do that himself. To me, it's one of those end-of-the-year projects, and I'm kind of already looking at next year, thinking about how I'm going to go ahead and maybe once a week give them a Scratch tip of the week so that they understand how Scratch can be utilized. And then by the time the end of the year hits, they will have already they will have some experience in it. That's basically it in a nutshell.
That is awesome. Oh, of course, we have to have a final shot there.
Oh yeah, is that my background? Sorry. No, I'm just trying to figure out how to get back to the Google Hangouts. There we go.
Yeah, I know, it gets buried in there. That's awesome. What a great idea.
Thank you. The hardest problem I had, and Jerry Petrosky and I, we were bouncing it back and forth trying to figure out, was whether we wanted them to actually draw the box and whisker plot by themselves and actually have the code calculate it, have them write the code to actually calculate it. It became a little bit consuming. It was really really difficult for them to actually have them try to figure out how to calculate it with the program. So I thought it'd be better to actually have them just manipulate what I had already created and just subtly adjusting the x coordinates so they could quickly draw it, because I could see where it could turn into a very grueling project, a long project for them just to create the code from scratch.
Yeah.
And that was a great approach, great idea.
Thank you.
And what'll happen too, you'll have those overachievers that are really hooked, that are going to ask you if they could do it, or they might just go ahead and do it and say, hey, you know what?
Absolutely.
I want to automate this. And then,
Absolutely.
So.
And that would be perfectly allowed, of course.
Yep, that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that was great.
Thank
Am I
you.
muted? No, I'm not
No, you're
muted.
good.
I don't know. No, that was great. Awesome.
Hey, Jason, just one thing you might want to think about on it, and this was something that I asked my wife, and she would work on it and look at mine when I was doing it, was just on those directions that when Skywalker's talking,
Right.
you might want to make them just a little bit slower, add a little
Yeah.
more time on them, and even put like a weight code in between them, because
Right.
otherwise, I mean, you and me, we all read fast, but we know how an 8th grader or a 7th grader or
Right.
a 6th grader it takes them a little longer. That just some of those wait times might want to increase a little bit.
Right, and I was noticing that just now as I was talking to you guys, it was going so fast, and I'm like, wait, no, I need to slow it down. Yeah, it's those little things that you pick up. Thank you.
But it was great, very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, another way you can use a transition too is have the students have to, let's say, click on something
Right.
to confirm that it's the next person's time to speak, or the next segment in the video, or in the animation.
Exactly. Thanks.
Well, I think Brittany must be ready to go because she's got the screen all hooked up here. Are you there, Brittany? Okay, we don't have Mike, though. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on over there. Maybe not? Should we come back to Cindy? Are you ready to go?
I sure am.
Okay, how about we go to Cindy? I don't know. There's still... Brittany, you might want to check your audio issues while we go through Cindy here.
All right. I kind of flipped it. Let's see if I can get the right screen going. Nope, wrong one, but that's good enough. Here we go. All right, so I have my kids doing the work. I teach computer apps and games right now, and one of the things when we transitioned to the second semester and they transitioned over to App Inventor, they were really missing Scratch. At the same time that was going on, I went to the Google conference, and one of the speakers did what was called a 20% project. So this is my 20% project. The other thing that I was thinking in my head is this grant is for math and science teachers, and I am neither. So I had to find a way to incorporate that easily into math and science programs. So there's 9 students that are in second semester computer apps, and we did a 20% of the day project is where they work on this. And this is the, can you see that pretty well?
Yeah.
This is a doc I made that they save a copy so that they can edit their own. They share it with me and with a partner that they will be collaborating with. They do their own projects, but they also need a partner for brainstorming, helping with ideas, helping with difficult programming, all that stuff that comes along with a giant project. Well, then at the beginning, they do what's called a plan, where they brainstorm together with their partner, and they generate ideas where they decide which teacher they were thinking of working with, and then they generate some ideas, and their partner generates some ideas, and once they come together enough, they come up with a final list, and then they let me know what teacher they were thinking of for that, and then I contact the teacher, and then here's the elevator pitch. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but you find yourself in an elevator with one person who has the power to make your project a reality. You have the time it takes to get to the top floor to sell him or her on your idea, do it. And then they have to come up with their schmeal that they want to present to their teacher, because often teachers are very, very busy, and they want to make sure that the kids are prepared to say what they need to say right off the bat. And then if the teacher says yes, this is their format. This is the very beginning is their name and all that stuff. There's a little section on introducing themselves. This graphic, by the way, they have to change and caption to make it reflect their own project. Another picture goes here, maybe a screenshot of their Scratch game or something, whatever they want to do. And then this is the title and who the audience is, what grade, the teacher, all that stuff. This part is the most important part. This is the blog space. The student puts the date in, usually on a Friday, and then they answer 3 questions. What did you accomplish this week? What are you working on right now? And what do you plan to do next? And this is all a Scratch project that they're creating for a teacher. So it has to be very polished and finished. So they put their response here, and that can get as big as they want it to be. Their teacher can respond if they want. Their student partner can respond, and then I put my input in there, like if they're missing something or if they're too vague, and we put that in there. And I have 6 weeks here. There is a reason why it's color-coded. The teachers, being busy people that they are, I can send them a quick email that says, check purple. Purple is the response of this week, and then they can scroll right to purple. And then this document, of course, is shared with that teacher, so they can go right to the document. And then there's input at the end about working with a teacher and their thoughts of the project as a whole, what their successes are, what they struggled with, some advice. And this one is really important as it progresses for next year, is what are things that you would like to tell the next class to make that more successful. And then finally, this is where they'll be graded on their final project. Because Scratch, you can't go in and make corrections for them, I have this lines right here for myself. I print this out and I write down things that I need them to change. And this is what I will write in their scores, how much scores they have. And of course, this is not their final. If I hand this back to them and they make corrections, I will regrade this, because it has to be perfect, because it's for a teacher, a professional teacher. So let me see. Not in my drive. Let me see if I can find out where I put the... I have a couple of the worksheets that are in progress right now. I'm actually doing this right now. Let's see. Patricia's is always amazing. She always has good responses. And she is a unique one. She's working on a project for a self-contained classroom. And Patricia has 2 students, and they're very extreme special needs. One's a medical and mental, and the other one, he can't even hardly speak. And so this is her blog, and this is before I put the tables in. This is why I put the tables in, because it got really confusing with where are we at. The color coding helps, though. And she just has really great responses. And her game is, there's 2 students, one's Case and one's Logan. And Case and Logan have different needs, so she has 2 different games in her project. And then they click on the introductory button, and they can go in and play their particular game. And the button says their name, so they know which one to go. So that's it. I have many things open.
So it looks like you did more of the bookkeeping that goes with projects, it looks like, right?
Because I'm involved in this grant, I wanted to make sure that my science and math teachers were represented. And I have 1 student working with a math teacher. I have 1 student working with a science teacher. I teach computer lit as well, and I have a student working with me. And they're actually doing all the Scratch programming for the teacher, so then this can be demonstrated and shown to the class. So
that's kind of cool. That's the worksheets and stuff like that will be good. How about you guys? Do you think you might be able to use that for your classes? Any of you? No.
Possibly, it could be something that I could use actually. I'd have to look at it in depth and see how I can adapt it for math.
Yeah. What do you think, Richard? Maybe.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, it's something, there's always a different twist. So you didn't So just you didn't do a scratch project per se. You did all the bookkeeping that goes with it. It looks like.
I went the other way because, well, I can scratch because I've been teaching scratch all year, so I can scratch really easily. What I wanted to do was make sure my other teachers at my school knew how to bring this into their classrooms. I thought that was my responsibility in being the keeper of this grant. I have a math teacher very interested in our robots already. She's not very techy, so it's going to be really, really fun. And I would like to present what these kids have done to whole group at the beginning of the school year so we can then get more teachers on board.
That's cool. You have anything to add, Richard?
Yeah, oh no, there I am. Okay. No, I like that, and 20% time is great. Actually, when you said that, I thought of, I don't know who did your session, but here's Kevin Brookhauser's book on the 20% time project, and that's a great way to introduce, especially the coding. It's exciting to see, let's say, struggling students do it. And that was one of the things that we found when I was with the Juvenile Justice Department, that our mental health facility probably had the best production. They, for some reason, they just did incredible things, more than the general population. And maybe it's more that visual aspect to it that helps, but that's pretty awesome, and I think what you've done can be extremely powerful, just as like Monique was saying, as an organizational tool to help guide it. So that's really great.
There was 3 things that I really wanted to accomplish. Number 1, I wanted the blog space. This speaker said that the blog space made them accountable to work all week and to get it done. So they blog every single Friday, and then I respond by Monday. And then the other thing I wanted them to learn is collaboration, because when you code in the real world, you're doing it as a team, and you're doing maybe a part of it and somebody's doing another part. So I wanted them to start working as a team, and even though they're doing their own projects, they're still in each other's heads and helping each other. So the blog responses are graded as well. And then the third thing I wanted them to know is that they have to be perfect. Every capital letter, everything has to be polished and wonderful, because professional people are really using this. And that is where kids get lazy with the way texting is and everything. And they really stepped it up. They did some really beautiful things. I'm really excited to show the teachers. That's coming next week.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's great. You know, it just took me out of that. I had to kind of put my headspace back in, you know, because I was waiting for a project, so therefore it just took me off guard. And then I could see, as you were talking through it, that this might be a really great tool for all the other teachers in the class as well. And that hopefully is what we'll get out of this too, is a great library of resources. So no, I think it's awesome. Anybody have anything else? No? Yeah? Okay.
Would you, obviously you're doing this with a lot of the kids that have already done Scratch. Would there be anywhere maybe you could incorporate more just kind of directions about Scratch for kids that, if a teacher wanted to use this outside of your kids that haven't ever seen Scratch, so that it could also be an introduction to Scratch for other classes as well? That might be something.
I've been collecting resources for that very reason. I have many. Some are even Richard's. Thank you, Richard. I've been collecting resources from all over on how to do, what different blocks do and what different things do, that I will have ready to pass on to teachers. Absolutely.
Great.
Now, when you taught Scratch prior, did you use their curriculum, like the 20 lessons?
I did. I loved it.
Okay.
There was one that I didn't understand until I actually did it, but I did it anyway, and that was the reflections. And I didn't realize how powerful they were, but I followed along with the curriculum because I didn't have anything else to go by. And it was one of the most powerful things I did all semester, was the reflections.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is what you've demonstrated is that reflection component, which is so critical, because it makes them verbalize what they're processing in their mind.
Not only that, but when I made a list of all the things they didn't know how to do in a particular project, and I put it on the smart board, stepped back, and let them teach each other. It was amazing. It was amazing.
That's a great idea. Good
That's
job.
great. Okay, we're going to try Brittany, but she is on the phone, so I'm going to put her on speakerphone. We're going to try to see if, well, I don't know if that's going to work, speakerphone. Let's see. Hold on. This is so goofy. We got vacuuming going on. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to try to hold you up to the mic. Let's see if they can hear you. They may not be able to. So just start speaking. Yeah, you'll definitely have to mute your end. Okay, but let's try it. Hold on. Can you guys hear her at all? No, I don't think.
No.
I don't think that's going to work. Hold on. How can we do this?
She doesn't have a microphone?
No, her mic's not working right. Something's not working right. And her video's not working right. Well, first of all, why don't you go to your screen, where the screen you're going to show instead of the box of us. Okay, okay, so there's that. So the problem is they're also vacuuming right now, so I can't put you on speakerphone, but she'll be done in a minute. But I could. No, it's okay. It's just much better if you talk about. Well, let's see. Let me move. Let's see if I can move the phone closer.
Monique, can you put her on speakerphone in your office?
That's what I'm gonna do. Hold on. Are you still there, Brittany?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. The problem is they're vacuuming right now, but you guys can hear her?
I can hear her
Yes.
fine.
Okay.
Hear me? Yes.
Yeah?
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Okay, they're good.
So, during our last update, we grouped up with Stacey Dawn and me grouped up because we teach the same curriculum. So this is something we came up with. This is the standard is basically to know if you put some substances, properties of substances together, will it have a chemical reaction? So the lab that is notorious.
Hold on one second, Brittany. Hold on. No, that's okay. Okay, go on, Brittany.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the lab that's notorious for this is Diet Coke and Mentos. And when I do it in my class, we do different things. We do Diet Coke, we do Diet Pepsi, we do different amounts of Mentos, things like that. But for this purpose, what we're going to do is basically the students will predict what will happen when you add Mentos to Diet Coke. And how they're going to do this is they're going to create their own scratch. And once they get the computers in, I'll have like 8 computers. So they'll be able to work in groups of 3 to 4. And they'll create their own scratch and predict what they think will happen when the Mentos enters the Diet Coke. And so then they'll have a gallery. So they'll just do a walk around and they'll check out each one and check out, see what they think will happen. Then the teacher will, so I'm going to model it in real life like I've done it in the past in the real labs. And then they need to go back to their scratch and change what needs to be changed and then present in front of the other students. So it's just a very simple model that they have to make. You put the Mentos goes into the Diet Coke, and then the Diet Coke, that was just multiple sprites to show that it causes a chemical reaction. That's it. It's not as complicated, complex as everybody else's.
Hey, it's good. It's good.
But maybe I could have each different group do something different. Like, what do you think will happen with Diet Coke? What do you think will happen with Diet Pepsi? What do you think? And just have, or how many, or what do you think will happen with this many Mentos versus this many Mentos? And maybe it could go that way. And then do each one in real life as well.
Anybody have any suggestions how she could take that further? I don't know if you guys can hear me now. No?
I'm thinking. I wonder if you could.
Oh, wait a minute.
I wonder if you could try. Since this is for science, I'm assuming, right? I'm thinking. I wonder if you could have them try to predict how high it'll go.
That's what I was just going to say. Is there a direct correlation between the number of Mentos and the fluid that you can have that part of it?
Did you hear that, Brittany?
No. I haven't.
Okay. Oh, because you muted it. Okay. So yeah, maybe you should unmute now. Okay. They suggested. Could you maybe? Is there a correlation between? Oh, actually, just repeat it. Oh, that's gonna be so annoying.
Yours.
Oh. Okay, mute it. I'll tell you what they say.
Okay. All right.
Okay, they're asking, could you maybe make it more about the distance it goes? Like, how much is there a difference in if you put how many in? Does it go higher? Could you make it more of a predicting thing of height?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Because that's really what you see when you add more Mentos or you use Diet Coke versus Diet Pepsi. You see a different reaction. So maybe they could have a scale to the side and portray how far it's going up.
Yeah. So that's one way you could make it maybe a little bit more elaborate, where you're using more math and you're using or predictive your science, right? Okay, so still you're dealing with the issues of volume and length and all that good stuff.
I'm trying to figure out how to fix it. Yes, definitely. Definitely find more ways to show that they're predicting things. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything?
No,
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Cool, Brittany. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to hang up on you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
okay. Bye. Hey, we've got more than one way to figure these things out, right? So then, I guess we're down to, oh, look, now you've got an image. I see how you are. That was priceless. It just needed to be, yeah, hi. No, we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. No. So, how about you, Josie? Do you think you can?
Okay. Yes, I'm
share
going to
your screen?
try.
Okay.
I'm going to try. I have to tell you, I'm literally on the oldest computer in the school, and I don't know if it has the RAM to play both Google Hangouts and Scratch at the same time.
Hey, at least you're trying, right?
Do you see? I don't. Are you
No, we
seeing
don't
my
see
Scratch
anything.
game or no?
No. Did you share your screen? Oh, there you go. Oh, it was there for a second.
Okay, hold on. All right. Do you see it?
No, it was there and went away again. Brittany, I'm just laughing every time I look at you now down in that corner. Technology is a wonderful thing. Any thoughts, Richard, on do you think it might just be her throughput?
It might be. It's weird that it's
That it came in.
that. Yeah. What browser are you on? You said Chrome?
Yeah, I'm using Chrome.
Oh, there. Oh.
That's really weird.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh.
Back to the
Let me
owl.
try this one more time. I'm trying it again. Because, yeah, I got kicked off because I was trying to open something like Google Docs in the background, and then it froze my whole computer, and then I had to restart it. So I missed one of the presentations.
Well, the good thing is that hopefully the playback will work. Note, I said hopefully. Everything's a crapshoot these days. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, almost. It'll be like a flashing light. So even though we're having issues with technology and getting it all up and running, how do you guys feel about this as far as doing work this way? Is this something you wouldn't mind doing in the future? Anybody?
We tried Google Hangouts at school for when we were presenting. Our counselors were presenting for elective choices for the upcoming year, and we ran into the same glitches as well. It's just it takes time for everybody to figure out how they're supposed to do it and so forth. And there's there's always going to be something new that pops up that nobody knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that we all have to adjust and get used to. But overall, I kind of like it. It's just getting over those glitches, of course.
Yeah, the growing pains.
Yeah.
It seems like a difficult application. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. Difficult. Yeah, it is. It actually isn't too bad, but it is a little temperamental. I think once you get on here a couple of times, well, who am I kidding? I spent 2 full days on this thing, and I still have issues. But it is an alternative that's pretty cool for a district that's our size, where everybody's so far away from each other, for the most part. We keep getting flashes of it. Oh,
No, do you want me to tell you about it?
yeah, you could. What do you think, Richard? Should she tell us about it without walking us through?
I mean, it's based on the one we did in class, so you guys get the basic idea, and you can see it real fast.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us about it? Okay,
Almost. Yay!
Nope.
Race to the White House.
Okay, we
Yeah.
sort of know what you're talking about, so just go ahead and talk, and then hopefully it'll show up again.
Okay. Well, I basically, shamelessly borrowed Richard's car racing game that he showed us in class that way. I'm actually a history teacher, so, we obviously don't have a lot of coding crossover. Is trying to figure out where I could bring it in, and I was thinking about the Electoral College and presidential elections and counting votes and things like that. And so I spent the 4 days before spring break, and I booked the computer lab. And so on the first day, gosh, I feel like we spent half the day just getting the kids logged to Scratch with a Scratch account. And then we built the background, and I think we programmed the first car. And on the second day, we built the second car, and we got into the variables of slowing down speed when you're on the grass. And so then the third day, I taught them what the Electoral College is. We watched Brain Pop on the Electoral College, and we did a reading handout. And so then we built, the concept of the game is 2 cars are driving around, and randomly different states pop up. Mine look like little stop signs. You can, if you see them the next time they flash up. And each state is worth a different amount of points based on how many votes that state gets for the Electoral College. Okay, so the concept is the kids would race around the track, and it's not just about picking up any state. Like if you have California, that's worth 55 votes, and if you have Nevada, that's worth 6 votes. And so it's not just picking up the states, but getting to the bigger ones first, and knowing that. And so, so the third day, we built the variable with how many points each one of the states were and making it appear, and the kids would drive and get that. And then on the final day, I had them copy that sprite and then put the finishing touches on it. Like I briefly showed them on the final day if they wanted to add music, or if they wanted to do a ending sequence, like if car 1 its points is greater than whatever the halfway of their points were, it stops and says you win. I showed them how to change a few variables here and there, and just basically said have at it. And so some kids needed that final day for me to sit down or their neighbors to sit down and really help them fix their code. But then other kids, they really took to it. Because I teach, 36 kids in each class, and it's not leveled at all. So in each one of my classes, I have accelerated kids, and then I have special needs students. So I really run the gamut. And I noticed a lot of the sharing with each other, helping each other out was really cool. Even some of my lower level kids really got it. It was a different type of thinking than we normally do, and it wasn't as it's not reading and writing based. And so some kids really had a chance to excel. At the end, I had a Google form for them to fill out, and it basically said what is the Electoral College? How are votes decided? A couple questions to see if they actually learned that, and then questions at the end what did you think of using Scratch? Had you ever used it before? Would you ever use it again? And I thought that was cool because 10% of my kids had used Scratch previously, and then 70% of the kids who responded said they were definitely going to do more with Scratch, and they wanted to play around with it. They really liked it. So overall, I think it was a really, really great experience, and I'm sorry that you guys can't see it. But they had a really good time, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I spent that time with them on it.
So obviously you're going to post the link for us with the form and everything, so we'll get a chance to see it. So that's the good news. So are you going to share your Google form, some of the results too? That I would love to see some of the results of what they thought about that, because I have to write the grant. With the grant, I have to do a lot of follow-up writing too. So any kind of student reactions would be awesome to be able to add. What a great project.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great, and I'll say I had a fun time being there, watching the kids learning Scratch too, and I got to actually teach part one section, right? What was it, your last period? Is that what it was?
Yeah. And that was great because I never thought of duplicating the car, make first car and then just duplicate it. I was having them draw different cars, and so they weren't all the same size and all that. And then you're like, you could just duplicate the car and change its color. And I'm like, that would have saved 10 minutes in each class. I have to tell you, the other problem that for some reason, when you make a new variable, you have the choice of either allow this variable to go across other sprites or just for this sprite alone. For some reason, they kept changing the preset and made it for this sprite alone. And so when they duplicated the states, like Nevada, and then they made a California, it didn't change the score when they ran over it.
Right.
That part didn't duplicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they went and they made all these different sprites and then dropping them around. And they're like, it's not changing my score. I'm not picking up points only when I hit this first one. And it took forever to figure out that was the problem.
Good. At least you guys got it. What do you did you end up having them do any pair stuff together, going through some of it? Or was it all individual?
Well, they help their neighbors through it, step by step. Because what I would do is I would show them the first step basically, or two or three steps, and then I'll say, okay, 10 minutes, work on this. And so then they'd work on it, and then they'd help their neighbors, and then when we got to the point that we had working games, I had them be like, okay, play, partner up and play each other's game, make sure it actually works, make sure it actually gets a point before we're, copying and doing that. But every kid had their own computer and made them game.
Cool. Yeah, no, good job. Unfortunately, we can't see it, but like I said, I was there. So I know the progress they were making, and that was great. So.
Well, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. So we managed to actually share. It took us a little bit, but we did it. and Jason's down there messing with me. He keeps showing up on different computers down on the bottom there.
It kicked me out for some reason, then I had to just go click right back in. I don't know what was going on.
That was funny. I was like, what's going on down there?
It's either that or I have
funny.
dual personality, but that's, that happens too.
Yeah. Hey, join the group. So what I'll do is, and some of you have already sent in, some of you guys are already done with your 25 hours, and that stuff's being sent on. I will send you guys a timesheet for the time tonight, and then I guess we found out that we could just have you sign it and then fax it over after poor Jason had to come all the way in.
Hey,
But
worth the trip.
I actually wish I had given you the bags of goodies. That would have been set.
It's okay.
But so I'll send those out, and honestly, other than that, it's just finishing up what if you haven't finished up the online course, and then just kind of keeping in touch, and I'll let you guys know as the goodies come in. Like I said, Richard, do you have anything? Like for the final project, they have to post it all. You have a form in there, right?
Yeah, so the form's there, and the four of you, did all of you guys already submit that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that way, Monique, we can pull all of that and compile it for you for your reports. And then also, like you said, I think a gallery would be awesome so they can see the lesson with their live screen share.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I wanted to be able to share it with everybody, those 3 documents, and I had to specify specific people to share with. Is there a way to globally share it with our whole Google Plus group?
Yes.
Yeah, the easiest way would be to just put everything in a folder and share that folder with anybody with the link. And then you can use like a URL shortener and just post that in the community.
That's what I did.
Get it.
Yeah, I did post it in my form. I used the shortener and put that all on there. I did all that, but is that all I have to do?
That should work.
Okay.
That should work. But I'll
All right.
check it out. I know that I know I've been saying this for 2 weeks. I'm behind, but I am working on getting ahead. This weekend, I will be looking at all those different links and also looking at this video to see if I can figure out how I'm going to start posting those. So hopefully by the end of the weekend, we'll have